Can this property be the game changer for video game adaptations? Let's find out. Just a little background, I am familiar with the Castlevania series. I've never played the actual games, but I've seen Let's Plays on YouTube. I know somewhat of the story and the lineage. My favorite, I have to say, out of all the games, definitely are Lords of Shadow. It grabbed me more. It was a different story than what usually was told in that series, and I just really loved that, at least in Lords of Shadow 2, you kind of got to see Dracula's point of view. I was just so sad that Konami just decided, yeah, we're not gonna make any more of these games. Like, they were going through a hard time. Seriously, it was really messy business-wise over at that video game company. I kind of got a little sad that I wasn't sure if I would ever see another Castlevania game or another property of Castlevania. So when I heard that Netflix was making this show, I was really freaking excited. And even more excited when I found out that it was animated. Because most of the Western animated shows or movies nowadays are all computer generated. They're all CG. And I really miss that 2D animation. And this one, luckily, has that. Netflix has been kind of iffy on the quality of their animated shows, and I have to say this is definitely their strongest that they've put out yet. So before I get into the animation and the technical aspects, I want to first talk about the whole premise of this show, which I believe is based off of Castlevania 3 and Symphony of the Night. So this takes place in the past in a small countryside called Wallachia. I hope I'm saying that right. And the show opens up with this woman going to Dracula's castle. She goes to his castle because she knows that he has knowledge of things that no other human has because he's lived so long. And she wants to research all of the information that he has so she can create medicine for people, so that she can help people make the world a better place. And in doing so, Dracula actually really starts to fall in love. They both fall in love, and they end up getting married. Unfortunately, that marriage soon comes to an end when the Catholic Church decide that what this woman is doing is witchcraft, and so they burn her at the stake. This woman really made Dracula a different person. She really encouraged him to travel more, to be more human, to be more compassionate. And when she was killed, all of that compassion, everything, he just was like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore. Screw these people. She was the only person in his life that really gave him purpose, the only sparkle of brightness in what he thought of the human race. So he decided he's going to take vengeance on the entire human race. And he gives the people of Wallachia a year to make peace with what they have, because he's about to reign terror and open the gates of hell and let all of the creatures come out and just wipe out the whole human race. So that's the premise of the story, and we start following our main character, Trevor Belmont. He is part of a family lineage who goes out and defeats these demonic creatures to protect humans. There are only 4 episodes in this season, which I feel is very short, and I know that Netflix really wanted to test the waters to make sure that there's an audience for this, and when they found out first day 1, they're like, okay, season 2, we're doing it. And it's going to be more episodes. It's going to be, I think, 8, which, whoop-de-doo, double the amount. But either way, it's fantastic that this has already gotten a second season. So first, I would like to mention the animation. The art of this show is astounding. It is beautiful, high quality. The color palette they use is just so rich and vibrant. And it really complements the whole world of Castlevania beautifully. I think they did a great job of adapting visually how the series is. Animation-wise now, I will say it's 50-50. I felt like some of the animation was very stiff, wooden. You can tell that they didn't have a huge budget for this show, so they really had to kind of cut corners, so there's not as much good frame rate in some of people's movements. And I thought that kind of made it a little bit more jarring. It took me out at times of being immersed into the whole story. I felt that the action scenes they put the most work into everything. You can definitely tell the choreography was really impressive for what they could accomplish. And hopefully in season 2 that they'll get a bigger budget so that they can really work on the movements, because it's really solid. It has a lot of potential to be amazing in the animation. Now, an aspect of Castlevania that has always been really amazing has been the music. And I will tell you right off the bat that the music, the score in this series is okay. It works, but it's not memorable in any way. It really didn't jump out to me personally, but the score is definitely not terrible or bad. I think it's really good quality. It's just not as memorable as the other games are, especially because of the series. You have such a high expectation for the score, the music, so it's a little disappointing. Now, the characters themselves. My favorite character out of everyone in this show was actually Dracula. I thought that the first part of the first episode was incredibly intriguing, and the only thing I wish is that he actually was seen a little bit more throughout the first season. You really only see him in the first part, and then that's it. And I gotta say, I really did feel for him. It really created a different perspective, a different aspect of his character, because he hasn't really been given a lot of development other than Lords of Shadow in all of the other games. So it was really a different take on him, and you can really understand why he was so angry. That was actually an aspect that I really didn't see that coming, and I really loved that. The only thing I wish that we saw more of in development was actually the relationship between Dracula and the woman, Lisa. Even though I really felt for Dracula when he lost her, I feel like we would have really felt something if we actually saw a little bit of a developing romance. Everything goes rather quickly, and that's actually for the whole entire show. The pacing of the show is very fast, a little bit too fast. I wish that they slowed down on some aspects of the story just so that we could see a little bit more, that we could feel a little bit more, really understand and really immerse ourselves a lot better, because I know that they want to kind of hurry up and really get to the main story, but I just felt like it was very like quick cuts. Like, okay, this happened, and now all of a sudden we fast forward a year in advance, and I'm like, okay, it would have been kind of cool to see after everything happened with Dracula how the people reacted to basically having a death sentence. I really wish that at least there were maybe 6 episodes to really kind of see more of the humans' perspective on the situation. I felt like they were a little bit like background characters. They didn't really feel like characters. They're just kind of there in this city, but not really there. So now let's just talk a little bit about the main character, Trevor Belmont. He is very much a Han Solo type character. He's kind of like, whatever, getting drunk at a bar, but then he can kick some serious butt. But then at the same time, he can also get hurt himself. He's not invincible. He really is that flawed hero, almost on the verge of anti-hero, but not. You can tell that he really does want to help, but the whole thing with his family is that they were basically criticized for what they did. People didn't like them. They didn't want them around, even though they were helping. But the civilians didn't sort of see it that way. They condemned them. They thought they were just as bad as Dracula himself. And so with that mindset, Trevor's just like, at the beginning of the show, he's just kind of like, why should I help these people? Considering that they don't even want our help. They freaking banned my family from ever coming back. Why the heck should I go out of my way to risk my life to help these people who don't even want my help? He was kind of conflicted at first, but ultimately he decided, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do the right thing because that's just who I am. That's him as being a Belmont. He just really does want to help people, but it is frustrating when those people don't want your help in return, even though they actually do need it. I thought his voice acting was okay. The voice actor is Richard Armitage. At times I thought like, okay, he's a little bit stiff, but he wasn't that bad. So another character who's going to be more prevalent in the second series is Sifa, played by Alejandra Reynoso. I really liked her. I thought that her accent was really cool. I just have a thing about accents. But no, she was really awesome. She had these magical powers. She's part of these sort of like monk people called the Speakers, in which the Speakers only speak their whole history, and they don't ever write it down, which I think is the most stupid way of passing down history, just because people are going to change things naturally. They're going to change a story naturally because they can't remember every aspect. So I think that's just really terrible. But their whole group, I thought, was okay. It wasn't very interesting to me, but I thought her character in particular was really cool, and I was not expecting her to actually kick butt like she did and having all these cool abilities. Just one more character I want to mention is Alucard. I always liked Alucard from the previous games. He's kind of my favorite. I think he's a lot of people's favorite, so I thought he was done very well. I will say that there was a funny exchange between him and Trevor. Just to let you know, the voice actor is James Callis. So overall, I gotta say that I was really surprised that there was a lot of humor in this show. It's dark humor. It's not always like PC, but I actually thought that all the humor was written extremely well, and I genuinely chuckled, I genuinely laughed at certain parts. So that was really a surprise to see. Just as a caution to you, this is a very mature show. It's not at all suitable for children. It's very violent, more on the tone of something like Game of Thrones. So if you're kind of queasy by looking at gore, even animated form, then I would stay away from this. If you've seen something like Attack on Titan, just to name something of the same sort of caliber of violence, then you will be fine seeing this. Other than the show's pacing being extremely fast, I thought that they did a really good job for how many episodes they were given. As for the story itself, except for the whole Dracula part, which I thought was really intriguing, and Trevor Belmont, I wasn't really into the whole city of Wallachia. Again, it didn't really feel like the place was all that interesting to me. The people weren't interesting because they barely ever got to talk about anything. The villain of the show, the bishop, in this case, I guess you could say he is the main person because he's the one that really starts everything. He was okay. I thought the actor was like really over the top with his acting. It just didn't add any depth to him. He was just a surface character. There's nothing to him. I feel like the major drawback to this first season is that it didn't really feel like a season. It felt more like, hey, we're getting you prepared for the actual story that's coming in season 2. It's like, okay, so what did I just watch? I just feel a little bit cheated in a way that it's only 4 episodes, and I felt like I didn't get a really great sense of what the actual series is going to be. At the end, you get a feeling, but that's at the end, and then the credits roll. So you're just like, okay, well, I'm excited for what is to come, but I do feel a little cheated that what I saw wasn't technically really the actual show. It didn't really ruin my enjoyment of what I did see. However, overall, I really enjoyed this show, even though I had a little bit of some gripes with it. They did a fantastic job of adapting this video game series into a television show. They really got the whole theme down perfectly, the whole feel of it, the style of it. I can't really complain much in that regard. Yes, the animation could have been better, but it is a television show. But what they did achieve, I was very impressed. For my rating, I would give this 4 stars. I have to say this is definitely probably the best video game adaptation that there is out there, which is really sad considering that movies can't get it right, big huge studios can't get it right, but Netflix comes along and is like, hey guys, we got this. I just am really looking forward to the actual season when it actually begins. I really just count this more as a prologue. It's not really the main story. But what we're gonna get, I feel, is gonna be really freaking interesting. What I'm hoping is that we'll actually go to different areas of the country and that we just won't be stuck on this one city. I feel like we're done with it, but who knows? I really want to see more of this country because it is a fictional country, so I really am kind of curious to see how all of the architecture is in other parts of the world and so on. So I hope also that we see more of Dracula. I really want to see a little bit of spurts of his scenes and what he's up to because I actually found him the most compelling out of everyone. This really is very much in the same sort of camp as something that's anime, although it doesn't have any of the anime tendencies. It's much more serious. It's much more westernized. But if you want to see something different that is very similar to anime, I definitely recommend this. You can literally watch the show in 2 hours and be finished. It's 23 minutes of 4 episodes. Really not a lot of your time, and I definitely think it's worth a watch. So that is my review of Castlevania. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know what I'm going to review next. I'm trying to find another anime show to really get into, so I will keep you updated on my Facebook and Twitter of what I found. And anyway, that's all I got to say. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. That rhymes. Please follow me on Facebook and Twitter if you haven't already. Please subscribe as well. Just to link, everything is going to be linked down in the description box. And always keep it real. And I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.